Good. 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 All right, try this one out. Do this for 30 minutes. Get into your Silam Tao stance, right? And what we're gonna do this time is put our hands out, keep them like that for like a long time. Once you've been like this for 5 minutes, maybe less, you start feeling your fingers just like they're on fire. Keep breathing. Robert said the energy's circling around. I don't know much about that. It may have to do with muscles and blood movement. It could be chi. But I know that doing this has helped my hands a lot. It's helped make my hands heavy. It's helped make them powerful. And if I do that for long periods of time. So what's one I'm going to start doing again. Thanks for pushing me on the internal stuff. And it's that relaxation that my hands are having that helps me, again, with relaxation in my hands when I'm doing my Silam Tao form proper. I'm like so much more relaxed after spending a few minutes like that. Another thing Robert liked to do, which is a little off topic, but he would do this in our warm-ups. Go as fast as I can. I can go faster if I want. If I go too fast, though, the camera can't really see it. So he'd have me do that. High up. And then down. And again, that really just helps strengthen the muscles, helps get that energy flowing, but it helps that center line sense in your movement too. So those are two things you might see me do sometimes if I'm just hanging around, getting ready to train. Those exercises help the hands. Qigong, the internal stuff. I mean, sit there and meditate. Be empty, be relaxed. I mean, there's so much usefulness for it. To engage in your training super slow. So that when we're in our Silam Tao and we're going so super slow, and we're feeling the benefits in our fingers and the relaxation. I find even later on in my Silam Tao form, I'm tempted to not go fast through it. But sometimes I just prefer to do them relaxed, even later on in my system, slower. Slower the better. Why be impatient? And then maybe I'll take a Tan Sao and put a cup of water on it and spend a long time just sitting with that cup of water, and then maybe I'll feel like moving it sometimes, practicing my footwork with the cup of water, because I shouldn't be moving my arms around too freely anyways. I just want to practice my footwork, and the water tells me when I'm being too much. I can go fast, it won't make a difference. I'm not holding the cup in any way, it's just sitting there. So yeah, practice Tan Sao with the cup on. Woo! That really builds those Tan Sao muscles. And it helps make the Tan Sao less awkward to actually use as well. And then sometimes I'll really get playing with things, you know, and if it's a lighter thing, that cup's pretty heavy when it's full of water, but a can with a little bit of stuff in it, that's really fun. I can really move that can around, play with it. So different stupid little techniques of mine that I incorporated in years ago. Like everyone, I got many, and but the basics are what it always comes back down to.
We're like your little students.
Yep. That'll be the idea. That we together all get very good as we get older. And then people come and learn from us. Well, those punches are really good right now. There you go, Whale, and you're focused. That's good. And I feel like I could keep learning different movements, but in the end, my ability to do my Wing Chun internally and relaxed and get more efficiency out of what I already know is probably going to make me better and better at Wing Chun. I could add a couple moves here and there. It probably wouldn't have the development capability, the expediency of getting more power than developing my Wing Chun internally. So I think that there's a lot of growth for ourselves within the system. There was times Robert just had me stand in my stance, just stand there for 10 or 15 minutes or something. And he would just talk and talk and talk. He's like, okay, you just stand there and I'm going to talk to you about Wing Chun. And he teach me all kinds of stuff. Well, I just stood there and got comfortable. It took me a long time to get comfortable. This isn't a fighting stance, but what this does is it holds all our energy back behind us, right? So that when we do use our hand techniques, our body has some trained methods of which to use that energy and direct it out. So these are important ways. And if you're just going to stand there and meditate, man, my cat's hyper. Stand there and meditate, relax in it, and breathe. And then I'll feel my body start to sway a little bit and just make a micro adjustment in my feet. And I bring my hips forward a little bit. And I'm like, okay, good, it stopped. So I just feel tiny things that are wrong, and then I'm forced to correct them by just standing in that seemingly stupid stance for a long period of time, right? So this is just one of the many bags of tricks that Robert Simeone had up his sleeves. This time when I do my Silam Tao, I'm going to put a foot out and then practice the whole Silam Tao on one foot. And that's why I like doing this one on bricks and stuff. That was one of the things that Robert would have me do it on one foot, or just stand there in a kick for a long, long time. You see me do it on a pile of bricks. I do it on a piece of firewood, whatever. Just stand there, meditate, breathe, stand there in my stances. Practice being on one foot. Sometimes I'll move the leg around and practice kicking, try to keep my center line straight. But for the internal stuff, just be on that one leg and then just stand there for however long I feel like it. And sometimes I'd be on a log for 20 minutes just hanging out, right? Just developing that strength. We don't do a lot of actual kicks in Wing Chun, but certainly this helps with kicking. The point of these exercises isn't kicking though. It's about developing center line, groundwork, internal work. So practice on one foot, whatever your system is. If you have a number of movements within your system that you do, practice it on one foot. Yeah, okay, while we're on the topic of kicks, people would like to see my kicks. They're like, can I see your kicks? And yeah, I'll give you a couple nice kicks here in a minute. But I'll tell you what I think about kicks. So here's a scenario, self-defense scenario. So you're in the bar, and these guys come up to you, and they're big, and they're mean, and they got knives. But you spot their weakness, because these thugs have beers on their heads, and you're gonna kick their beers off their heads. And that will really do something to them when you kick the beer off their head. Well, this is a mustard. I don't drink, so this is mustard. And so because I don't drink and I'm in close quarters, I'm probably just gonna kick his groin or kick his knees and use my hands for his hands and my feet for his feet and try to keep myself positionally stable, right? Because it's like if I start throwing these big heavy things, I start playing with my source of gravity. I start doing that, then I become much easier to knock off my feet. I don't want that. What I want is to be on my feet harder than any other person you ever come up and touched. You try to move me and I'm not movable. That's what I want. I want firm foundation, right? But yeah, if you want to see, I was taking karate and stuff like that when I was like 8 years old or 7 years old, right? So I can still kick pretty high. I don't train much in it because I don't really need to. Because I don't kick people's faces. I don't want to be like this. Whoa! It's not my game, man. I just don't use those kicks. That's not me. Back kicks. Side kick. That's a Wing Chun kick. I'll use that. The front kick and the side kick are really our jams. It's extra effort. It's telegraphable. Unless you're very, 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 very fast, which most of us aren't. It's telegraphable. And when you're throwing it, it's going to open you up to me coming in and taking your gravity over. You're on one foot in an awkward stance. Really, I just need to push. And you don't believe me, but I've done that with friends of mine who are into kickboxing and stuff. Where like, okay, come on. And as soon as I see them go to give that, just poof. And off they go off their balance, right? Just a little shove to the chest or a little palm strike or whatever, right? So you want to have better rooting in your energy than them. You don't want to just be flailing around. And some of those kickers are awesome. I just don't want them to touch me. That's for sure. Like, I'm humbled and wowed by their kicks. Don't get me wrong. I'm not talking trash on their kicks. I just don't see any personal need for it. Mostly what I'm trying to do now is just hone in the small things that I already know how to do to get better result and better effect. I'm 43, but I might not always be so nimble and athletic, and I might still have use for good Kung Fu. In fact, I've gone through times where I've had temporary disabilities, and it's been even more important at that time that I had good Kung Fu because I had to do everything simpler and softer because I was weak, right? So people with disabilities, small people, Kung Fu is for you. People who are old, for you, it's good to be athletic. No question about that. I want an art, a martial art that's open to people, that's accessible for people of all physicalities and whatnot. And so I think that internal development is such a big part of that too. That's something that we can really always grow on, even as we get weaker in our age, that internal structure.